Type Soul originally died due to lack of content, terrible progression, and no real endgame. Like, the game sort of just felt like another CC game instead of something that was released publicly and was averaging like 40k players. The new Type Soul we have now dropped almost 2 months ago with promises to correct the mistakes of the old game, and so far honestly I think the developers have done a good job at providing us with that experience. Like, we've received a ton of content within these 2 months. However, hell drops, bro, I still think there's a few problems that the devs need to address, and since the suggestions channel is kind of down right now, I decided to make this video, so let's get right into it. First item we're going to be talking about are skill boxes, and skill boxes obviously upon usage, if you have 25 invested into a certain stat, you'll be getting a special move off of them, right? Everybody knows what skill boxes are. They're relatively rare, but nowadays honestly everybody should be running at least 2 skill boxes. The only real issue I see with skill boxes is that as the game updates and we start getting more and more skill box moves, it's going to be very difficult to get the skill box move combination that you want, and I feel like this is something the developers need to address as the game continues to progress, because like Speed has like 4 skill box moves, and trying to get the right combination for Speed is honestly so tedious and annoying. Like, you can spend 40 skill boxes and you might not get the same combination you want. Like, even before, back when the game only had like 3 different skill boxes, I've heard of people spending like 10-20 skill boxes trying to get the right combination and they haven't gotten it. So like, that's before old Type Soul. Look at how bad it could be right now, especially with hybrid builds becoming meta. I feel like a really good solution to this is to add like a special skill box or like a super skill box that you can maybe like craft or get in like L or something, right? And with that skill box, you can basically pick whatever type of move that you want for your build. I think that would honestly improve the game a lot and make mid-maxing your build and actually getting what you want so much more easier, and make it less dependent upon chance. Because in a CC game, I could kind of understand that, but now the game's publicly released, there's over 50,000 people on it. I feel like features like that kind of just ruin the experience for some people. So I feel like adding a special skill box that you can like craft or find somewhere that just lets you pick moves would be a lot easier than just gambling and hoping you get lucky, right? Anyways, next section. I think adding a weapon storage to Type Soul would honestly make the game 10 times better, just because of how tedious it is to actually gamble for different weapons. Like, say a new weapon drops like a Quincy Scythe, whatever, right? And you currently have Spalton, which is a legendary. In order to get that mythical weapon, you have to gamble away your legendary, which already takes like 80 rerolls to get, and you have to hope that you get it. And say you don't get it, now you're just stuck with some random ass trash common weapon and you can't switch off. That is such a bad situation to be in, and especially with a game as big as Type Soul, I feel like they're going to be losing a ton of players off situations like this, as we've been in that situation. And honestly, I have the skill level and like the sweatiness to grind ranked and actually just get a bunch of rerolls, but I know most people don't. So say you have like a really good weapon, like I said before, you kind of just have to gamble and hope the new thing they drop is actually good, it works with your build, and if it doesn't, you're kind of just stuck with it, or you might not even get it at all and you're kind of just stuck with something random and you can't even play the game. Honestly, I think a weapon storage would just make the game a lot more convenient and fun, because now when something new drops, I don't really have to worry about losing my comp build, my build that's actually good. I don't have to worry about that. I can just straight up hop on, gamble, oh no, I didn't get it, okay, let me just re-equip my Spalton, I'm good, right? So I think just adding a weapon storage would just honestly make the game a lot more convenient and fun. Like, you can see games like Blox Fruits have it, Deep Woken has stuff like this, and Type Soul having it, I don't really see a reason not to. Again, this is another function that's like CC-esque. Like, I get it in a close community game, that would make sense, right? But games public, you're averaging 40k players, you feel me? Like, a weapon storage would be really nice, so you don't need to gamble constantly to get new weapons. But yeah, anyways, let's move on to the next section. NPCs in Type Soul suck right now, and it honestly feels like Blox Fruits level NPCs, I'm not gonna lie, where you're literally just running away and spamming all your moves. The biggest example of this is the Bonkai boss and the what's it called, Nosarep, like the dev bosses in the freaking Keyscape world, right? Those and the Bonkai boss are all literally just no skill. The only way people actually beat those is by cheesing them. Like with the Bonkai boss, you just run away and spam speed skills. With the actual dev bosses, you just spam a bunch of Hito skills at them. If you try and fight them normally, 90% of the time you're gonna end up getting cooked. I know in the what's it called, the hell update, they did say the mobs won't be humanoid, so I presume they're gonna be adding mobs similar to like maybe Deep Woken, Sharko, or Atheron in there, right? What that means is the non-humanoid NPCs, those are gonna be fine, but the current humanoid stuff, so like Bonkai Fight, your progression NPCs, received any confirmation that those are gonna get touched up. So if they don't get touched up and we still have the same stuff, I feel like Type Soul will still have that like stigma attached to it, where it's like a bad game when it comes to the progression standpoint, right? Because Bonkai and like random Soul Reaper NPCs, like those are a pretty big part of your progression, right? So I feel like having them actually be more challenging or more rewarding to fight would give the game a better reputation than it currently has. I don't know if that's just me, comment below, but let's move on to the next section, man. Alright, next feature we're going to be talking about is fast rolling, and this is basically just being able to use your rerolls really fast. A big issue that I see personally in Typesol is whenever something new drops like a mythical and I know I'm going to need to spend like 100 rerolls for it, it's just really annoying to sit there and spam all of my rerolls. I know it is possible to just, you know, get something off your first or second reroll, so some people might not want to do this, but for other people, you know, if you have like 200 rerolls and you don't really care, it would be really nice if I could just use them all instantly instead of having to sit there and literally just grind out all of my rerolls. Honestly, I don't know, this might just be me, but it's really tedious, and this would be a great feature to add to the game as a sort of quality of life thing. Getting a unique true variant form for your race is a really cool concept, and I really do like how well they've implemented this into the game. But the only big issue with these racial variants is that there isn't any consistent way to check what form you got aside from testing it with yourself, which is a super flawed system, as there are a lot of variants in the game, and honestly with certain variants, for example like on visor, defense, attack, and speed, there's no real consistent way to tell which one you have. Like, I understand testing them out isn't necessarily a bad method, but I feel like the game would honestly really benefit a lot from having an in-game description of what variant you have and what it does. Like having a way to actually check what you have for your race would be super convenient, and that you can actually tell what your variant does instead of having to go to the Trello, which is sometimes incredibly outdated. And this addresses a major concern a lot of people have had with Typesol, where they feel like the game is kind of like making you go online and search for information instead of just having the game provided to you. Honestly, I see no real negative to adding this. It would be super easy to implement as well, so I could definitely see them adding this in like a weekly update, you know. But yeah, let's move on to the next section. Alright, the final section of this video is going to be on progression, and I know a lot of people already have like a general idea of the issues progression have, which is just generally the fact that it sucks, it's super boring, and nobody really enjoys doing it. So I'm not going to touch upon that too much, as I already know the devs are also aware of this, so hopefully that part should be corrected. The main thing I want to touch upon right now is actually tracking your progression. So for example, for your base progression, you have to go back to the hospital in Karakura town, pay 1k con to the lady, and she'll tell you your progression. Honestly, 1k con isn't a crazy price, and it isn't super difficult to get to Karakura, but it's just one of those things that makes progression incredibly tedious and annoying, because in order to figure out what you actually need to do next or what you have left, you need to go all the way to Karakura in this big ass map, pray that it maybe spawns you close to the actual hospital and not across the map from it, and that just contributes to making progression a lot more tedious and less enjoyable. So I feel like just giving us a drop down menu, like by pressing M or something, that shows us what our next requirements for progression are, would just make the progression experience a lot more convenient. Hopefully we do end up also getting some more progression based content with this. That would make the game a whole lot better. Yo, thanks for watching the video, man. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and goodbye.